First of all, each poet gets 3 minutes plus a 10-second grace to read or perform their poem. Each poem must be of the poet's own construction. It must be original. They may not use props, costumes, or musical instruments, though they can have their poem here. Our judges will total up the scores. However, if they go over 3 minutes, after the 10-second grace, there is a half a point every 10 seconds. And I'd like to take a moment now, actually, to introduce our math guys. We have Trevor Butenhoff and Shauna Ewing. They also happen to be our math teachers. First place winner will be going to Versalandia and win $100 in cash. Second place will win a place at Versalandia and $75 in cash. And our third place winner will be the alternate and win $50 in cash.
This is the part where I'd give some sort of witty icebreaker, I think. I hate myself. I hate how I look in the mirror only to see my imperfections. I hate how I'm always comparing my accomplishments to my transgressions. I hate the way I surround myself in silence just to make myself feel heard. And I hate how I can recite my flaws from basic to bitch, word for word. I hate that what I hate won't fit in a 10 bullet point list. I hate that I've thought of jotting those bullets down across my wrist. I hate that razor blades send more of a message than pens these days. And I hate that I'm at a point where I can write about those messages in way too many ways. I hate that my skin blisters and peels off in the sun like a raisin. I hate how my protective clothing is often the cause of humiliation. I hate how my pale complexion and glasses gives me a scarlet letter A for easy. And I hate how the boys who exploit that are sexist, disgusting, and sleazy. I hate how my opinions are stepped on and flattened quicker than some basic bros futon. I hate the people who say I can't really know hip-hop. I'm sorry, but do you have any gray poop on? I hate that the events of my childhood have convinced me to never have kids. I hate that women making that choice are visualized as selfish, money-hungry pigs. I detest myself. I detest that my period gives me mood swings worse than the swings taken at women by society. I detest that those women have to live their lives conforming to a standard of filial piety. I detest that when I speak up for myself, I'm not advocating for change, I'm just being a bitch. And I detest that my voice is disregarded like it's nothing more than some white boy's annoying itch. I dislike myself. I dislike the hate perpetrated by my race that puts everyone else in second place. I dislike that boys just aren't into you if they feel like they can't keep up with your pace. I dislike that politicians care more about a mother's inability to choose over 2,000 kids getting shot up at school, and I dislike that some asshole can just buy an assault rifle when it is so fucking obviously not going to be used as a gardening tool. I abhor myself. I abhor drinking coffee and seeing less black in pop culture than I do in my refreshment. I abhor that the administration condemns Nazis only when it's acting as a replacement. I abhor the missing sense I see in the lack of change I make to every man's dollar, and I abhor that defending yourself against harassment brings you less peace and more dishonor. I resent myself. I resent that drivers pay more attention to my ass than they do to stop signs. I resent that saying stop does nothing to keep their hands within the sidelines. I resent that crying "what the fuck" raises more eyebrows than some boy's arms around your shoulders, and I resent that not all men are willing to speak up against society's many sexual assaulters. I hate myself, but I hate the person you personally acknowledge, not the real me. I hate how my mind is inhabiting my body like it's somebody else's piece of property. I hate my... Wait. No? I don't think I do. Is it possible that this whole time the person I really hated was you?
I live for the heaviness of my head from swaying to too loud music through the night under a swirling Picasso sky. I live for the uneven burst of spastic creativity like caffeine, frizzled, frantically writing so fast that I forget to put the end on the pencil scratch. I live for the spicy, heartwarming taste of chai, the feel of worn leather soothing a cold, shaking hand. For 48-hour drives of road tripping, clocks not ticking, speakers laughing out the sound, safe and sound. The indescribable feeling that you have when you haven't showered in 3 days. I live for watermelon dripping days, the spit of the sprinkler, uneven tans, gangly intertwined legs in the hammock. I live for the galloping explosion of a heart and sudden lack of oxygen when the person talks to you, walks with you, and God forbid, smiles at you. I live for the liquid sunshine coursing through my veins for something I can finally call mine. Maniacal cackling and an aftershock of giggles. I live for the intoxicating smell of rain. I live to search soulful eyes. For, is this what normal people do on the weekends too? Did Albert Einstein have 2 brains? I live to breathe in the crisp air on early morning runs, for the squeal of gym floor underfoot, calls for the ball rolling across turf. I live for hating my brain when it points accusingly and says, "You're different." I live for the little girl inside me who can't seem to accept that being a dog when you grow up is not a realistic career choice. I live recklessly and rambunctiously. I live for life's best ideas when saying fuck it and moving on is the best option. I live for sunrises and sunsets I haven't even seen yet. I live to learn to love people, friends, and enemies alike, to love the world, to love myself. I live to change the world. I live for the ones who can't. And I hope that by the time my life drips away, I can finally say, I lived. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wow. I felt that. I felt that. That was beautiful.
I'm a humble hustler. I work hard to be the best I can be. Being the best ain't an easy task. It takes time, it takes perseverance and luck. No faking, just taking the gold. Through struggle and the process, the game and your life. My mind on the dough, eyes on the prize, loving myself each and every day, looking for beauty in every part of the world. Small things are what matter. Love, smiles, and laughs. Injury let me down. First concussion, healing, then second, and then third in pre-season. Smacked me right in the face, bam. Injury let me down, but I'm not gonna be toasted. I'm gonna rise through struggle and adversity. Hard work shines through when the EYBL seems like my turf to be. Goals to be on varsity, goals to be elite. I'm working every day to earn a spot on the team. My goal is to be a walking bucket. I love what I do. Hustle isn't a gift or a talent or an idea that's new. It's a choice. You decide to be on time, to be in line. Good choices, pressure on my shoulders. Stay A's, love myself through the days of working to get good grades. I'm proud of who I am. Letting myself know challenges arise and you gotta be strong and grow your mind. Believers, they keep going. Never give in or give up. Man, the hustle, it's real. When you want it that bad, maybe you're just too cool for helping the kids behind you. But that's not the case in the game of life. Stay humble, stay kind. I remember a moment that I felt like I was doing my job right. A small girl walked over to me and looked up with big brown eyes and said, "You're good," and gave me a big happy smile. I told her, "Good job, keep aiming high." She walked like a lion, bro. I saw the stars in her eyes. Lion's heart grow when your success doesn't determine if you're better than the rest. It doesn't determine that you're better than people or hard work or the grind. It determines that you win against yourself in every way, every day. That you are the best version of yourself you have to offer to the game, to your life, and to your community. Create the best version of yourself, because I gotta swear, because I gotta tell you, I look into people's eyes and I see the light. That little spark that ignites the fight, that ignites the rise. This slam is a story of my life, my struggles, my glory, and what I strive. So take this poem and think about it once more. Close your eyes and let it sink in real deep in your mind. I hope it makes you think about your life and your purpose, and that every part of it, dreams, hustle, and hard work, is worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Look closer. He comes from an abusive home, but is the most giving person you'll ever meet. They have PTSD, but can comfort anyone. She has dysphoria, but gives the sweetest compliments. He suffers from depression, but draws the most beautiful things. They aren't accepted by friends, but have the most positive attitude you will ever see. And she has social anxiety, but has the brightest smile. He gives the best hugs, but he cries a lot, but gives the best hugs. They self-harm, but has an amazing sense of humor. And she is addicted to drugs, but remembers everyone's favorite things in their birthdays. Look closer. He is mocked but laughs melodically. They're hated but have fierce determination. She is judged but always smiles. He has insecurities. They have fears. She has They have insecurities. He has fears. She has scars. He has hopes. They have goals. She has dreams. Look closer. Look at this person and talk to them like a sister. Look at this person and treat them like a brother. See this person and care for them like a sibling. See, we have differences but are not different. We have similarities but are not close to being the same. Different stories, different experiences, different aspirations, same smiles, same fears, same possibility of change, of starting fresh, of beginnings to something new. Have you been looking? Have you seen that he has feelings and emotions like you, that they are human and live and breathe like you, that she gets inspired and cares like you? Can you glimpse it? Are you widening your eyes? Are you peering even deeper? Hell, I'm still opening mine, but I can't tell you to open yours to something new too.
Oh yeah, Verslandia. Okay, so I think, did you already mention it? I don't know. Okay, so the top two of this competition go to Verslandia, and third place is an alternate. Verslandia is an Oregon-wide, or at least PPS and more wide competition for poetry. The grand prize is a lot of money. Oh, I'm holding you guys up, aren't I?
Right. I would like to bring some joy and fun into our gathering today by telling you a story about how I got a pet. I never had a pet and would never have one if it were not for my biology teacher, Ms. Gotzi. It was a new biology project to build a bottle biome, and for the finishing touch, we needed something alive. I got a list of things to bring, including plants, rocks, soil, seeds, and at the bottom of the shopping list, it said insects and a fish. There was a little drama at my home about placing a fish into a biome, because my parents were concerned if a fish would survive or not. My parents still took me to Petco that day to do the shopping right away. We got everything on the list, including a small red betta fish. It was a betta baby boy, a tiny twisting twirl. His name fit him like a glove, and he fit into our home. The fish was so cute, my dad refused to take him to the school. Instead, he sent an email to the teacher asking if a fish was a required biome feature. Ms. Gotz's reply was, no, it is not a requirement at all. Then she gave me a fish of her own to use for my group's biome. The project took about a month, and I was happy to see that Ms. Gotz's fish survived. Not all groups were so lucky with keeping their biomes alive, and their unfortunate test subjects did not survive. It all happened 6 months ago, and I still have the baby boy at home. He used to live in the kitchen, but started looking like an unhappy creature. His scales got pale, eyes blurred. He stayed at the bottom of the tank among the rocks. Now he lives in the bathroom and swims in his tank very joyful. My mom calls him Rbuля, which is a short form of Rybulya, which is a gentle form for a fish, if you want to know it in English. Every time I enter the bathroom, he spreads his gills with excitement, probably thinking I'm there to feed him. Always hungry, like me after school.
What a refreshing poem.
Do you notice how you always end up talking with your friends about gruesome things that have happened to yourself instead of talking about normal things like sports, boys, or your neighbor who's a crazy old cat lady? My friends and I have tried, believe me, but no matter what topic, it always ends up back to scars, like a merry-go-round that doesn't know when to stop. My friend Sarah has a scar on the bridge of her nose. With her IQ of 130, she decides it's a smart idea to throw a rock at a wall, not considering the fact that it would ricochet back and hit her in the face. My friend Mary has a scar, a burn mark, in the middle of her palm. Unlike Sarah, she doesn't have an IQ of 130. Still, she thinks it's smart to grab the scorching end of a falling hot glue gun. I'm no better. This one here on my forearm was because I slid and skinned it on a metal grate, trying to have a sister bonding moment, running away from my mom with the coffee pot in hand. My knees are like a museum of scars. Diving without knee pads, forgetting for a volleyball, forgetting that I'm on the court or in the sand. Jumping over a splintered bench 10 seconds too early, causing the most pathetic yet slightly majestic electric slide. The only scar that I didn't receive from an idiotic act was this dent in my head. My friends call me a can with a dent in it. The same dent that caused a newborn great pain. The same dent that caused parents great suffering that they should never have to feel with their newborn child. I was stuck on the bones of my mother's love. My mother carried me for 9 months, giving me nothing but the appreciation and the proper care I needed. How could the same mother who showed me so much love cry in my dad's arms as the surgeons wheeled me away? How could the same eyes look at me like I wasn't hooked up to wires and tubes like a mechanic fiddling with the insides of a cyborg? How could the same hands that hold me now be the same trembling hands that wash the glue and blood out of my hair so carefully, afraid to touch me? A can with a dent in it. That sounds about right. A dent that shouldn't be there in the first place. A foreign feeling on a smooth surface. All you want is nothing more than to pop open the can and push the dent back into place. I have the most scars out of my friends, but this one right here was no idiotic accident.
That was really beautiful. Now we're just waiting from our judges.
Hello, my name is Lila, I think. You see, as important as it is to me, It's just not me. And you may ask, why was the one I was given not good enough? And it's not that it's not good enough, it's just not me. You see, the name given to me was just a name, a label to put me into a box, like child's toys, but I don't fit in that box. You see, I'm not you. I'm not her or him, they or them. I am an I, and an individual invisible to the ignorance. I'm an individual invisible to the ignorance of ideal identities. I am a child in a body of a woman I no longer wish to have. But I'm not a boy, but I am. You see, sometimes I'm both and other times I am neither. My gender flits in and out like butterflies, only stopping to sip, like rays of sunshine filtering through skyward stretched trees. You see, I am a blue-eyed boy stuck in the body of a blonde-haired girl, and my sex, the thing that is written on my chest and between my legs, and my gender are two different things. And no, it's not just girls and boys. It's never so black and white. It's more rainbow. And if I were on a spectrum, I would land somewhere in the ultraviolet. And if I could wear my colors, I would. But this world isn't safe yet. You see, I have seen bras and binders, razors and bandages, tears both happy and sad. Tattered war flags of veterans living lives among us, wearing their colors of freedom because they have given up on caring what the people shout from the streets. It's a daily routine for them. Even though we are made up of the same things, water and stardust, chromosoids mashed together into a miracle of life, we take it all for granted. Every heartbeat, every breath we take, each breath we take, and although I am suffocating in society's irrealistic views of the world around me, I still smile, even when I am not happy. Because it's easier to joke about hurting than to get help, easier to pretend than to tell, and sometimes I think the reason I lie is because I'm hoping that if I lie enough, it will become true. But my lies are just bandages, temporary, to cover wounds. And the truth is, I don't know. Name or no name, I am still human, still breathing, heart still beating. You see, I am genderqueer, polysexual, and my name is.
Okay. While waiting on the judges, I just want to once again thank everyone for being here, and also all the diversity we've had as far as topics for poems. It's been super great.
Okay. This poem is titled Un mar tan azul. Listen to every strained syllable that comes out of my mother's mouth, her thick accent when she speaks English. Swim through her words as if they are the ocean. Taste the saltiness of our heritage. Let it burn your eyes. Let the waves wash you ashore to what she and my father went through to get to this land of freedom. Drown with my ancestors. As you look up, it is clear, and then blue, and then dark blue, and then black. Deep into the forgotten dark, let the water fill your lungs as you feel what it's like to be shut up. You're all the same. Your skin will start to disintegrate, heavy from all the water, and it will come off your bones and blend with his and with hers. Pay attention to my father's hands as they sculpt our fading history. Putting in each detail of every person that has ever disregarded us. Taking in all their thoughts, all their words, all their breaths, and making us masterpieces. Thank you.
A girl stands in front of me, silky blonde hair parted neatly in the middle, and she tells me, "Put your leg away." It was grossing her out. As fire burns slow in my temples, there's something in my eyes. My heart drops to the pit of my stomach, and in that moment, I break, just a little. In the 5 years since then, I have met that girl many times. Strangers who stare at me in the street, children on plastic playgrounds who poke and prod, summer when swimming pools force me out of the comfort of my jeans. I stand tall on sinewy limbs I built for myself. The bones that hold me up I grew for myself, tattered and tangled, bruised and broken, splintered. Tell me to be titanium, like the rods nested in my extremities. Tell me to be delicate, like the spun sugar lies I weave, and I say I am. I have choked down my vulnerabilities, used them to paper the windows in my house, melted them like cotton candy in my mouth. Pressing myself into these words, stamping the amalgam onto this page, pulling the parentheticals from my mind like a rope. What astounds me is the abundance of articulations. What is wrong with you? In my weakest moments, I ask myself when I see exactly what that girl did. Deformity. Ridges and dents, my insecurities in milky craters. Stretch marks are waterfalls flowing down the side of my femur, the places I have been pulled apart and sewn back together. Plum red gashes, stitched over and swollen, stigmatized. They become a point of comparison. Legs tan, toned, untethered to one narrative, smooth, unmarked, unbent, and unbroken. Where some see beauty, I see a knot of envy, coiling and writhing, slithering through the hollow of my excavated skeleton. A boy sits in the bleachers of my football game. I twirl on the track, short skirt and silver glitter, and for 1 second, I forget about my scars. But Paul didn't. And he tells me, "Put your leg away." It was grossing him out. A slow fire burns from my temples, but my cheeks are dry. Stone cold gaze, and in that moment, I am put back together, just a little.
Whoa, whoa. Beautiful.
I find no solace in safety. The curling, breathing, breakingness of pain gives me more opportunity for introspection than quiet rooms or soft, sandy coves. I adjust so quickly, I forget everything but today. My face changes every hour. My mama is different. Seeing her face reminds me of 1,000 things. Like the paintings of a blind man, her skin is all furrows and bumps, coiled, hardened hair. I have painted over the canvas of her so many times I can feel yesterday's expressions below the surface. My mama does not let go. I dreamt that I was full of medicine, that even in the hospital there was a half chance I would survive, half chance I would not. I asked her, "Talk to me," but she was silent. Grabbing my body, she threw me into cars, beds, tables, 50% chance that I would die before I ever caught her eye. Her, too busy worried about whether I would decay than if, should I live, I would ever be okay. That's Mama. Perhaps it's fair. Sometimes my mama touches my hair. I wonder if she feels its smoothness and wonders how I forget so quickly. But I hold nothing. Sometimes I wish I worked in a mine. My weak heart and frail limbs could bend and twist and shudder, as I so frequently bend against what is probable. With each day a half chance to make it alive, I would arch my spine and perhaps I would survive. There's no point in holding on. There's no reason to step back. I cut off my hair where it began to tangle. I rode the bus back home where I paint the face of Mama again. I wait for my hands to finally rest when there are no more faces to paint and night falls.
$1 million. It sounds like a lot, and I'm not gonna lie and say that it's not. I won't pretend that I have it to give, but these icebreaker questions are collaborative. So $1 million, $1 million. What would you do with $1 million? Yes, the thought's hypothetical. It holds little weight, but there's numerous ways to split that estate. You could have one New York apartment with concierge service, a 24-hour doorman so you won't feel nervous, one Caribbean island, 7,000 miles of sand, 28,000 meters from Belize, the mainland. You could have 2 years of salary for a domestic staff of 5. A butler, chef, and valet might bolster your drive to buy one undisputed masterpiece by Auguste Renoir in your CX-75 Jaguar, a $1 million car. One castle in Scotland built in 1906, 40 bedrooms, gardens, British mortar and brick. You could buy 1/7 of Sir Paul McCartney pre-solo career. And what about reality? 43 households above the poverty line, $10 an hour, working full-time, 96 years of American health care, opioids, co-pays, or forget about welfare. You could have one mediocre tele-evangelist. Piles of payments from those who insist that he is the voice of God or Jesus' prime. You could buy him a Bible 200,000 times, and now that we're working in such gross proportions, what would you do with a far greater fortune? $30 million. $30 million. What would you do with $30 million? 30 Renoirs, 30 Jaguars, 60 years of paid service, 30 apartments, 30 doormen. You'll never be nervous. Forget the island. You could have Benin or Chad, and if that's not enough, if you're still feeling bad, $30 million is the cost of one U.S. president, currently owned by our nation's resident rifle association. And I'm getting this math from Emma Gonzalez, and despite controversy, I trust that it's solid. 30 million divided by 5,800 lives is $5,712 required to revive an antiquated system that continues to thrive on lobbying, lying, lip-locked excuses, corrupt legislation, and I don't know what the use is of $30 million stacked against teenaged victims. But Parkland wasn't incidental. It was the result of a system that will never be satisfied with the wealth on this earth. But hey, congratulations. You own 5,800 times your worth.
Dear Jenica, I love your eyes, brown, swimming in gold, little flecks of blue and sometimes green. I love the way you throw your shoulders back and laugh, like even though you know you're loud, you're not ashamed to be happy. I love that when you smile, you really smile, even though I cringe at the double chin in photographs. I love the way you get lost. In love, in someone's eyes, in the lyrics of a song or a cheesy rom-com. I hate when you get so lost, you lose yourself. I love the way you flirt with yourself in the mirror and speak in a bad British accent when you're alone. I hate that you don't know how to be alone. I love that when you're creeped out at night, you cuddle with a Harry Potter book for protection. But why are you so scared all the time? I know it's not really the dark that you're afraid of. Sure, horror movies have caused paranoia, but you're mostly afraid because when it's dark, you have to hear yourself. I love the way you defy hatred. You believe in peace across beliefs, across waters, across galaxies. I hate that you sometimes hate you. I love that you're brave even when it hurts. I hate that you come on too strong and make people turn away. You've lost important people because you don't know how to give space. You can't leave things alone. I love the way that you love. You give your whole heart without hesitation, at least you used to, but then you used to be more innocent. I love the layer of pink under your hair, a secret just for you and the people you choose to share it with. I love that freshman year you dyed your armpit hair blue, and I love that you don't shave your pubes because a partner should love you for you. I love your stubbornness. I can't stand your stubbornness. Have you ever tried arguing with yourself? Of course you have. And in case you didn't know, it's like arguing with a fucking wall. I love the things you share with the people around you. I hate that you feel like a burden, not worth it, like people would be better off without you, but I don't know what if it's true. I love the way you come alive in the fresh air and sunshine. You coax the flowers to grow with pep talks, and you stop to rescue worms on the sidewalk. I love that you always have a song stuck in your head. I hated when All About That Bass was stuck there for a week straight. I love you gently after you've come off of a diet, and eating sometimes makes you anxious because you're not so used to feeling full. I hate that you act crazy for attention. I love that you're so good at getting attention. Jenica, sometimes things get shitty, but I promise we'll make it through as long as you remember that I love you. Thank you.
Wow, I hope we all love ourselves after this one. Like, really, seriously, love yourselves, guys. That was pretty.
Picture this. Serene study session, crisp, clean papers spread across my bed, awaiting the wonders of a steady hand, awaiting their chance to test their mettle against my mind, or more realistically, feed their hunger for hair. They want to ravage, twist, and tangle, not me with nausea. There isn't even really an itch there. OCD is just a bitch sometimes, and it is only for a moment of thought that I turn my back on my hands in order, of course, to solve the problem at hand. But you see, there's an issue with that. My hateful fingers are not my own. They want roughness, grope, and pull, and when I lift my attention for 1 second from their ropes, they creep steadily onwards through my subconscious, arrogant conquerors, confident already in their victory before our battle has even begun. Though they might appear tiny, weak, laughable even, battle scar-bearing beasts they are. One vertical scar runs straight up and down my left palm from when they pulled me over a fence and into the neighbor's backyard at age 8. Right thumb calloused and careworn from the constant rub of metal, familiar with roughness, they embrace knuckle valleys and varying nail lengths. I, on the other hand, paltry, small, I want only to be smooth for a moment, flawless, and to not feel me, and wish to rip or gouge or feel up like the clumsy hands of a man much meatier than I might feel up some poor woman's breasts with no reverence, only hunger. They crave a feast, juices dribbling from jowls and fistfuls of hocks and bones tossed back down ghastly gullets. I only wish my fingers had more respect, learned proper table manners, like how to say please, or at the very least how to hold their ravenous teeth in check. Instead, I lean towards appeasement. It's all right. Just this once, there's plenty to go around for now. Oh, how I wish I had a little more will at my core, a reluctance to bow, or a whipping spirit with which to subdue them. But they're not my own, so what reason have they to obey? They unleash themselves with impunity, race their frenzied spree, leaving their tiny, scabbed footprints over top of me, plucking what they wish. No chocolate blossom is safe from this pillage of my body, they whisper.
that if I only let them take this and that and this one here and that one and that one and one more, then it would all be smooth again. And I, insignificant I, could think again impeccably, could finish whatever it was my hands were supposed to be doing 30 minutes ago. Should I let them?
I have never performed at all. I was always sitting, watching, listening as the performers come up and illustrate with their emotions, using their vocal cords as paintbrush on a canvas of ears of those who are willing to listen. Painting a picture that you can only hear, but is somehow unique to everyone. I have never performed, but I know that they write, and Jesus, fuck do they write? They write to create to become to speak, pen, pencil, ink on paper. They write to speak like a song, but writing a poem was already hard enough, so they speak, and they keep going on and on about this topic they chose to get heated about until they forget to breathe, and then they stop. To breathe, let the audience catch up a bit. I have never performed, but I know that they speak with the passion in their personality that's so fiery that lights up this entire room. I have never performed, but I know that I may not be the best in the English subject, but a poem is their essay, using experiences as their points, emotions as evidence to spell the truth of their thesis, and to be conclusive or not is up to you, as I have never performed at all. Thank you.
I'm a bit of a crier. In fact, I'm sort of an expert on the matter. I've done my time, I've got my master's. If I wanted, I could charge $100 to teach a class, but I've decided to be generous with my learnings and instead provide a list for all you people who are yearning for some clarity on the matter. A list of wheres and where-nots, a list of hows and how-nots, a list of Lucinda's top 5 all occasion, best and worst places to cry. I will start with the worst. Number 5, on a college tour, preferably if you make the other parents and their kids uncomfortable. I bet they thought it was the financial aid that made me so emotional. I saw no reason to correct them. Number 4, on stage, preferably if you play it off like an artistic choice. Who knew tree number 4 had such a complex character backstory? Maybe she'll be the next upcoming prodigy. Nope, something's just wrong psychologically. Number 3, in the freezer section of a Fred Meyer's, preferably while clutching a bagged rotisserie chicken to your chest. The employees kept asking if I needed any help. I'll give you a hint. I did. Number 2, on camera, preferably if it ends up on social media afterwards. I'll just tell you right now, puffy eyes are not attractive qualities. Number 1, at somebody else's birthday party, preferably while eating their entire birthday cake, but don't feel too bad. They'll get another next year, I hope. Sorry, Grandma. I know those sound bad, but don't worry, it's not all as bad as it seems. There are plenty of ways to relieve your feelings while still retaining your dignity, so let's move on to the top 5 better places to cry. Number 5, all alone, preferably accompanied by sad music. If you try hard enough, it's almost as if you're in an indie movie, and you sort of are. Number 4, on a bench in the park, preferably while holding a loaf of bread. The pigeons won't mind your wallowing, and they will appreciate your weepy crumbs. Number 3, in the rain, preferably on someone's porch in an act of love, preferably as a protagonist in a rom-com. Either way, the rain will disguise your tears or at least wash them away. Number 2, in the bath, preferably while eating ice cream out of the carton. Drown your feelings in the warm water, numb your hurt with a pity sundae. And now, number 1, in the arms of someone who cares. Preferably while they are crying too, but out of love and not of pity, and out of strength and not of shame. Thank you.
Sehe ich umwelt, seit des winter sky meek and pale. Bin ich tainted by body and spirit, mental myriad making momentum, cobalt coat midst gray coats. Lege ich, lege nicht. Fragile, fragmented fear, frayed fronds, founding never to be fashioned. Where would we win, withering, welting globe, gliding from glimmering? My glowing glottis, gleaming glue, schwäche perceived frailings shall shear schnell. Gehe ich, flee, allegorical tabloids, fantastical deities, perpendicular line pairs, grapefruits sind alle. Viele Menschen, still wie gehetteten Ziege, sie stehen und sagen nicht. Boards brandished, conserved in brains, making dear use to fall. Stehe ich, tainted by body and spirit, gegangen fern, weight loss pills. Flickering shows shy, saw soda and sandwiches, sealed medium, feared by box mountains. Mache ich in und aus. I'm aiming and aiming, angled aloft. Thank you.
Wow, I love going towards the end. I've had to pee for like an hour. I'm living my best life, you know? "935 days ago, we lost contact. Do you ever think of me because I spent the last 22,440 hours thinking of you, thinking of the late summer sunsets you sent me, the way the soft pink light reflected into the orange, into the red, into the endless sky, and now I guess into you. I have left this channel open for what feels like an eternity, but the clock reads a mere 1,346,400 minutes of silence. I hope this is just a dream, just a cruel joke that's been going on for far too long, anything besides truth, anything. But too bad this is the truth, and too bad I can't change it. You would think I would have given up by now, but you've left far too much behind for me to just move on. I wish nothing more than to forget the 2 years I've spent waiting, praying, hoping the crackle of static is you picking up your end of the line, but it's not. It's times like this when I reflect on my existence that without you, I wouldn't exist, but you don't really exist anymore, so do I still exist? Do the parts of you inside of me shrivel away and die, crumble in the wind, ooze out like blood from a wound, or are they forever mine? Do I get to continue your love of trees, or the way harvested corn stalks fall into patterns on the ground, or your unorthodox love of tractors and the way they shine when you polish the pre-war steel just right? I mean, how many other people know that if you hold on the clutch of a tractor for just a few seconds, that when you release it, the whole vehicle lurches forward? Not enough to cause any damage, but just enough to see you crack a smile. Just enough to know that you would never abandon me. But you see, no one else in my life really cares about tractors, and you? Well, you're dead, and it's been radio silence for the last 935 days.
A bruise in a far-off land, always teasing, a pinch, a pull, a poke, always fighting. Life on a bus is a rough road to walk. Life on the bus is where they all stop to gawk. A bruise in a far-off land, when you're 5, 6, and 7, life on the bus is not easy. Life on the bus. You get called names, you get insulted, and you listen to kids bad-mouthing your mom. A bruise in a far-off land. They call your mom fat, they call her ugly, and yet they still say, "Yo mama's butt is so fat, it's an aerial picture." A tear down the cheek as you listen to them, powerless and scared, not knowing where or when the next insult would come from. Not knowing that within you, you have the power of God behind you. But then life on the bus ends. Your mama pulls you out of school, out of public, out of life. And you like it for a while. Then you begin to miss it all the laughter, all the life, all the pain and the joy. But it's too late. You're out. And you go back in your mind to life on the bus. To escape the pain, to escape the torture, to finally be free again. You go back in your mind to life on the bus, with a bruise in a far-off land. Life on the bus, a rough road to walk though it may be, it's there where you find that you're finally free. After being out for uncountable years, free again to live life, to be in public. It's yours, your life, your mind. It's time to begin, time to live, time to love. I'm back, free again at last in school, again in black. But all that means nothing if you aren't willing to embrace it. And it's time to be the best. The best at living, the best at being you. It's time to be the new world. It's time to lead us into glory and freedom. So no more hiding on the bus, not in a not so far off land. Your time is now. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. I like that.
I've been sitting there in my seat panicking for the last other presentations, thinking I was going last. Second to last is great, though. Behind false walls are beds stained obscene colors, are 100 children, voice cracks and bodies, mothers, paddles, and fathers' belts. Behind false walls are toothbrushes and dirty sinks, are crimson laughs and blue under eyes, are liars and thieves with slimy hands. Behind false walls are 200 children, needles and sticky goop, the echoes of lullabies and chipped nail polish. Behind false walls are rumbling stomachs. Behind your walls are scuffed floors, even scores and gumdrops and trivial statements. Behind your walls are trickster foxes, bee boxes, and golden honey, farmhouses and chicken stock, and your grandmother's quilts. Behind your walls are flies that were once fireflies until you blew out the flame, are red lines and blue lines, swollen feet, floor mattresses, and $2 bills. Behind your walls are red heels and brown loafers. Behind your walls are microwavable meals and street bakers. They hold signs. They read "Bless you." Behind my walls are Monchichi dolls, babies in blue. Behind my walls are video games and board games. The neighbor's swing set, you will see red lipstick and brown mascara smeared across my face. Behind my walls are trips to the Mexican market, watercolor images in black and white, and bustling family functions. Behind my walls are carne asada and masa. Behind my walls are dirty looks for not speaking Spanish, dirty looks for trying to speak Spanish. I will not cast aside the culture that's been forgotten in time, because It was not my fault mi abuelo wanted the American dream. It was a better dream than poverty behind my walls. Thank you.
Yes.
Also, the person who prepared these amazing food in the back is Miss Amber, the Sun coordinator. She's amazing. She's right in the back. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much, Miss Amber.
Okay. Oh yeah, and T-shirts are being sold in the back if you want one of these, or maybe one of those, because mine's kind of worn out. Yeah. And permission slips for tickets to Verselandia, where Franklin Poets will be performing. So, hype about that. Who do we have next? For our final poet of the first round, give it up for Calvin Carson.
You know, for a second, I thought I forgot to put my name in there. It turns out I'm just unlucky. Emotion is like a spectrum, like a pool. There's a deep end and there's a shallow end. The deep end is dark and dangerous, draining those who dare enter. Artists, poets, musicians, their power pulses perilously and pure. And then there's the shallow end, where kiddies hang out, where people can't swim. But people are afraid of the deep end. But people like me revel in it. But today I decided to swim to the shallow end and play with the kids and talk to the people who can't swim. And I find it to be fun. A warm, fuzzy blanket covers my skin as if made from puppies. A stupid, silly smile is plastered on my face, and I can't help but laugh. Swimming in the deep end is hard. The least you can do is wade, and that still takes energy. And the shallow end at least has ground that pushes me out of the water, out of the spectrum. Relief is like the first summer breeze, where every breath of the wind is saying, "Hello, everything doesn't suck. You're just sad and delusional." And I nod in agreement. I am sad and delusional. To think the whole world is out to get me, the lifeguards glare through their sunglasses, whistle in mouth, and I glare back. But the shallow end doesn't make me feel like that. Sometimes hanging out in the shallow end makes me yearn for the deep end again. But then all the people in the shallow end give me a look like I'm a crazy person, and then confirm my thoughts by calling me a crazy person. But the shallow end is nice, so I'll stay here for a little bit longer. A heat starts to form inside of me, like the whole world wants to burst from my chest, and I laugh for no good reason, because that's how the shallow end makes me feel. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. We'll be coming back soon, so we'll give everyone a couple more minutes to settle down so we can get back to this fun adventure. Yay! So we want to thank our amazing cello player, Jesse. He's really awesome. Woo! He's doing a great job. It's really not easy being up here, but you know, we try to make it easy. But yeah. Want to do it?
Okay, tell me what is okay, so the stars are the people who are in?
Yeah.
Okay. Annie Bowie is in the second round. Lucinda Drake is in the second round. Ann Kepler is in the second round. Brenda Norell is in the second round. Jenica Ocker is in the second round. Ilsa Stackley-Vogt is in the second round. Kaylin Street is in the second round. And Lucy Walker is in the second round. Okay.
Two faces, two mouths, two noses, two hearts, two bodies, two entire states apart. Something stretches, two mirrored lives hardly connected. If someone asked me what I learned about long distance that I never expected, my answer would be waiting. My God, the waiting. That little buzz in my back pocket brings a massive rush of heartbeats, waiting to sleep, waiting to run, waiting to speak. On the off chance, I'll be lucky enough to hear the voice of an angel. Whereas she's replanted herself, still I must sleep, still I must run, still I must speak, still I must live. If someone asked me what I learned about long distance that I never expected, my answer would be counting. I am so good at counting. 60, 40, 28, 19, 3 days. I never thought long distance would be pressing play on a Netflix movie at the same time it's called a date, or her roommate bringing friends over right when we're about to say goodnight, or her roommate driving her over home from Idaho, so I can't really be all that mad. Long distance is a whole lot of I woulds and I wishes. I wish I was with you. I would hold your hair when you threw up. I would hold you if I was there. I wish I was with you. I would. It's Sunday night spent working on a Google Doc together, missing her kisses. We're kind of in the same place, sort of. It's iMessage plucking out I love yous when I need to hear it most. It's every little thing I never thought I'd take for granted, but I did. Like holding hands. Holy fuck. That shit is incredible. It's lying in bed on a Friday night and hating frat parties with every fiber of your being, because when she sleeps in another state, each can of beer adds a border. Long distance is needing a hug more than water. The day she left, I felt there must have been some big black scrawl on my back labeling me as a woman whose love is elsewhere. Nevertheless, I must live. I live for those sweet, sweet letters, for bright yellow daffodils picked just for me, for the blissful arrival that always follows the kind of night 16 hours deeper than they ought to be. I live for seeing her right there on the stairs, catching me bone blistered, body bruised, tired, unaware. My lips are still pounding from every come home kiss we've ever shared, her taste and smell dripping from me, and I am exhilarated, intoxicated, all the more so because every second feels precious and desperate. Leaving is a long, drawn out affair, nothing like the clean cut event it masquerades as. Leaving is ripping out teeth, nerves, and flesh wrench themselves into pieces, and 7 months post-exodus, she's still leaving, me wanting to claim some little slice of her day as my own. Something about long distance that I never expected was the tactile aching that rips from the inside out, carving scathing swaths of caves within for hollow, distilled missing to nestle, a gnawing, destitute fade, something forsaken. I crave a hug more than water. Nevertheless, it's an odd feeling of carrying someone with you, however many miles distant. Long distance is trust, more than you ever thought you had in you. And though it begins with grief, it fades into confidence.
Okay. My mother paid me $5 to buy 2 lottery tickets. But don't worry, I'm 18, so that means I'm an adult. And I bought some myself before I was 18 too, with my mom's permission. But as of March 25th, I'm ready for the scrunches of people's face as they doubt my age. And I'm still waiting for my second growth spurt because I'm legally an adult now, right? Although I may not have my driver's license, a credit card, or filed my taxes, but I do have a bank account with $10 in it. And a job that I called in sick to be here. Don't tell my boss. Sorry. I am an adult. Like, I don't drink apple juice anymore. I drink coffee now. I changed from Velcro to lace shoes. And don't get me started on frosted animal cookies. Like, I can't handle the sugar anymore. Like, I used to be able to eat 5 bags at a time, but now I can barely eat 4. It's hard. It's really hard. And so being an adult is fun and all, but it means I can't be friends with people who are younger than me because I think that's illegal. I think that's illegal. So to all the babies out there who were born in 2000s in the summer, fall, or winter, or even any years after that, I'll see you next year or whenever you turn 18, because technically, I'm an adult. Thank you.
My words are honey, slow, sweet, and only added to taste, but never enough to stand on their own, craving validation. Shoulders back, chin up, walk like you know where you're going. You turned your ears off when you caught on, which is why I can't overdo it, overpower, because honey is thick. Too much and it chokes you, drowning, sinking like a spoon in sugar, too sticky to pull yourself out. Not enough and it doesn't cut. Through the bitter, slashing the strength, smoothing the tang, covering the ugly in a golden syrup. Shoulders back, chin up, walk like you know where you're going. Look bigger, taller, less like, oh, I'm sorry, I messed up. Shoulders back, chin up, walk like you know where you're going. Look bigger, taller, less like a target, stand up straight and pretend you're not what you are, scared that you won't control your impulses. Shoulders back, chin up, walk like you know where you're going. Eyes in the back of your head, that's what I was taught. Looking like you're lost can only get you caught, and I promise I'm not paranoid, and I'm not trying to end up in someone's basement. Not from me, but created by me, filling my ears, my senses with a buzzing hum. Small and delicate, but each and every bee has a stinger. Each and every bee belongs to a hive, crafted, built with the well-worn hands of each woman before me, because whoa, man, I don't know a single woman that hasn't been harassed, hurt, or otherwise harmed. Shoulders back because I'm more than a statistic. Chin up because I can make a difference. Walk like I know where I'm going because I do.
17 seconds will never be enough time to voice what 17 people never can. Thousands of students forced to live the horrors that our politicians can never understand. What we stand for is no longer liberty and justice, but a fight for life itself. No kid should ever have to wage a war so that weapons of war don't fuck up their bodily health. I mean, are you hearing what we're saying? Are the lights all on upstairs? Because the last thing I've been thinking is that the administration really cares about real people reduced to numbers on a crumpled spreadsheet, a tally of individual lives never given the opportunity to be complete. $30 million. Is that how much Gen Z is worth? Or did you stop giving a shit about us immediately after birth? Mr. Trump, why are you treating mental illness like it's a precedent? The last time I checked, we were getting enough of that from our president. I am a Gen Z kid, a born after 9/11, grew up hiding under their desks kid, a zombie buried in their phone because they're sick of hearing the last thing some asshole just did, with an AK-47, AR-15 semi-automatic rifle and the will to shoot up a school, a monster with a determination to add their fellow students to a growing dead pool. I am a Gen Z kid, a generation that learned how to lock down before they learned how to read, a woman who's tired of waiting for her problems to be solved by some prince and his noble steed, a student who reads about our nation's history I can only feel disgust and shame, a person ready to redefine the system so that they can put our anger to a name, because I am a Gen Z kid, and Generation Zombie isn't hungry for fish and chips. I hope you still got those guns, because here comes the Gen Zombie apocalypse. Your Second Amendment right to bear arms isn't gonna protect you from our wrath when we vote you out of office and fix this broken system. Do the fucking math. I mean, do you hear the people singing the songs of angry men? It's the music of the people who will not get shot up at school again. Do you see the ocean of protesters choking the National Mall? Neo-Nazis, racists, NRA lobbyists? We're gonna get rid of them all because 200-year-old policies are not what the people of the 21st century stand for. I am a Gen Z kid, saying the things that should have been said long before Douglas Mason, before Columbine, before Sandy Hook, before Virginia Tech, before Benton, before Aztec, before San Bernardino, before Marysville, before Rosebrook, before Santa Monica, Newton, Oakland, Chardon, Huntsville, DeKalb, Baton Rouge, Blacksburg, but for
March 20th, 1928, the birth of a hero, Quiet and mild-mannered, he had no desk in his office because it was too much of a barrier, and every day he wore a sweater made by his mother. He never told anyone what to do, but rather he asked them how they felt, wrote the music on his show, and taught children to love, kept his weight at 143 pounds because I love you. He asked a black man to play the role of policeman in 1969 on TV, and he always believed in equality. He begged for the ability to help children see their inner worth and inherent beauty. His job was to tell kids they were good enough, to say, I like you just the way you are, and ask them how they felt, to love with his entire heart, and to help children learn up from down, and happy from sad, and anger from hatred. Divorce and violence in the news and little things like a fight with a sibling, Mr. Rogers was there. Not just for children either, he makes grown men cry. His gentleness reaches a deep part of the soul. He finds the eye of the storm and moves your heart to meet the calm. What would Mr. Rogers say today in a world so divided and full of rage, when politics is hatred and people can't see past the bridges of their own noses, when we're losing the ability to hear each other speak and to listen with compassion? He'd probably say the things he'd always say, like, what do you do with the mad that you feel? And won't you be my neighbor? Yes, Mr. Rogers, yes, I'll be your neighbor, but you've left us, he's gone, and now we're left to muddle through this strange and scary universe. I wish I knew what to do, but thanks to Mr. Rogers, I know where to start. I'll look you in the eyes and I'll show you my heart. He calls us to be truthful. He asks us to be kind. He wants us to share our beauty with the world because, you guys, Mr. Rogers knows you are beautiful just the way you are. I'll say it again for the kids who didn't watch his show. You are beautiful just the way you are, and I like you just the way you are, and together we can make peace and change the world, and most of all, we can love each other, because at the end of the day, we are all neighbors. Thank you.
Does anyone else get like stress pee, where your body's like, I have to pee, and you're like, no you don't, and it's like, I do. It's not, just stress. Okay, that's not it, that's not my poem, okay. Good. I am in love with you. I've been in love with you since I told you how much you made me smile, and you said you felt the same way too, and then you complimented my sweater. It was an ugly sweater, but I wore it every day after that. I've been in love with you since we walked to Anna's house together when the buses didn't come, and it was dark and it was cold, but I was warmer than I'd ever been. You told me how you were hurting and I wanted to kiss away your pain too soon. We'd only just grown close, but still I was in love with you. I've been in love with you since you came over out of the blue, and I was in my pajamas and made us tea that never cooled, so we made poetry on the fridge and talked about the future. You said you wanted to move to North Africa. I said I wanted to move to South Canada, but I lied. I just wanted to be where you were. I knew I was in love with you since we picnicked on a Sunday with our hummus and pizza crust because Fred Meyer's hid their flatbread just to spite us. I knew since we walked home in the sunshine and I asked if I could kiss you, and then I kissed you, and I was afraid I'd done it wrong, but you reassured me. I knew since you went away, and when you came back, you brought with rocks and a love note. That was the day I felt your love too. You held my hands and kissed me with a purpose. I felt the intention behind your lips. We watched a movie sitting together in a chair, but I don't remember the plot because I was too focused on your hand on my skin and how you held me tighter when I laughed. And so I laughed when nothing funny happened, just to feel you a little harder. And I was still in love with you when you said I was too much. I guess I knew I was a handful. I thought that you were enough to handle it. And I was still in love with you when you said you needed space. And so I gave you all the stars and the sky and NASA's whole space program, but it wasn't enough. And so I gave you all the planets in the Milky Way, and then you said what you needed was time. And so I gave you 100 million years, and then I gave you 100 more. I have been in love with you since forever. And I think you loved me too, at least for a little while. At least until you wanted me to stop loving you, and I just wanted to make you happy, so I tried my best to. I tried so hard to hate you. It wasn't as if I was without reason, but I couldn't do it. I'm sorry I couldn't do it. So I continue to love you uninvited. Maybe someday you'll let me back in.
Red is just a color. How could I describe red without using the actual word? It's the color many warriors have shed. It's the man's face with his words slurred. Red is what she wears as she dances boldly and lonely. And it is the feeling of her lips as she kisses you slowly. Red is just a color. Or maybe red is the music that plays inside quiet houses. It is the beating heart upon thousands and thousands. Red is in the eyes of the ones who can't keep life together. And it's in the eyes of the ones who can't seem to fall asleep. Red are the flowers that he sets upon her grave. It's what you taste as you feel defeat. Red is just a color. Or maybe red is that feeling when you know you've done wrong. It's the person that left that you loved for so long. And red appears on all the flags, showing how we got to where we are. Red is her face as she walks down the aisle. And it's his face as well as he reads her his vows. Red is just a color. No, that can't be right. Because broken promises are red. Shattered dreams are red. Laying under the sun is red. Falling in love with the wrong person is red. Is red really just a color? Thank you.
I was 7 years old when I watched Bones for the first time. You know the TV show, Bones? It's got an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I did not stand with the majority in regards to Bones. In fact, Bones gave me recurring nightmares for weeks. I would sit with my elbows tucked under my sheets and think, I know people are afraid of skeletons in their closets, but I am afraid of skeletons in my closet. When I was 7 years old, I loved ancient Egypt. I taught my young eyes to pick up hieroglyphics. I attended every vaguely visiting exhibit, but then all I could see were bones, old bones that made my bones cold bones, elbows tucked under rib cages, tucked into sheets. You see, sometimes I lose control of my train of thought. I like to think I'm its conductor, but sometimes I'm not. My brain senses derailment. It's on high alert. It wants to protect me from things that can hurt me, like a caveman confronted with a saber-toothed tiger. My pupils get wider. My breathing gets heavy. I notice 5 things in the room, but it's hard to focus on carpeting when you've got impending doom to distract you. Counting. They always tell you to try the counting. Notice all the faces or count 3 smells in the room. Count the breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It feels like I live in a world that bathes in gasoline, and at any point, someone might light a match. Maybe if I can breathe all the oxygen in the air, the fire will have nothing to feed it. Breathe. It's like my brain is made of glow stick bracelets, and those little connectors that hold them together are manufactured in a foreign country. I guess panic is the opposite of calm, is the opposite of complacency. I have an overabundance of anxiety, which means I can defy every mark of efficiency as long as there's something that's keeping me busy. I have to stay busy, or a match drops and the world catches on fire. Think fast, move fast, too fast. Breathe. I don't want to slow to a stop, but I can't keep going non-stop. I can only pull the emergency brake so many times before the train quakes to a more permanent stillness. I have to learn to ride on the passenger side sometimes. I have to breathe sometimes. How do I explain panic disorder? It's the skeleton in my closet. This overwhelming dramatic exposure to primal fear, motivation, unexplainable temptation to keep moving fast, too fast, think fast, breathe slow. Sometimes.
It's me. I can't. Wow. So,
I hated to stop that. It was beautiful. So thank you all once again for enjoying the poetry and celebrating all these amazing talents with us. It was really tough, and I do want to remind the poets that the point is the poetry, and you shared your hearts with us. So give all the poets another round of applause. I'm going to do third place alternate first, and when I do announce the winners, if they could stay up here for some pictures, that would be great. So our third place winner is Lucy Walker. Here you go. Some cash and a certificate. And that means our second place winner is Lucinda Drake. More cash. And some people say art doesn't pay. And that means our first place winner tonight is Kaylin Street. Congratulations. So thank you once again. Give them a hand. Wherever you are, give them a hand. Thank you and have a lovely evening.